You never know when you're going to get into the fight of your life. And last week, Officer Kristen Richmond of West Virginia posted some very graphic photos as well as the accompanying details regarding exactly that, a fight for her life with a student at Bethany College in West Virginia, 5'11", 195 pounds. She said she deliberated on whether or not to even make the post, but she knew that it would serve as a swift kick in the ass to all law enforcement regarding the importance of training outside of law enforcement. And as two people who work so closely with law enforcement for so many years now, we absolutely agree with her and wanted to make this video to amplify her message and see what we could take away from it.
Yeah, we received the message and we're grateful for her sharing it, and we're happy, we're glad she's okay.
Absolutely. So it was a early Friday morning, I guess she reported this incident. 5'11", 195 pound collegiate athlete. Guy is drugged out. She gets into an altercation with him and an all-out fight breaks out. Communication is down. She's not able to reach her partners and she continues to fight this person for 5 minutes. And she's a female officer against a male collegiate athlete who has no regard and is completely trying to tear her apart.
Yeah. And she explained that she deployed her dog.
She had a canine partner, canine dog there. The dog attacks
the dog is biting the man.
Doesn't stop him. So she's striking him. She's doing everything she can. Yes. The dog does not neutralize the threat. And this continues for 5 minutes. And throughout this process, you know, her tools are falling out. He's reaching for her duty belt. Yeah. It's all out craziness.
Her glasses, I guess, shattered.
Glasses got shattered in her face, which, you know, a lot of the lacerations there. Mm-hmm. And come to find out that, you know, she attributed her survivability to her training outside of work, and it's been verified since that she is a 3-stripe white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that trains in West Virginia. And her instructor has spoken out about, you know, the situation and what a dedicated student she is.
Yeah, and this just gets me thinking about, you know, for example, you get thrown in the ocean. How long do you want to be able to tread water for, right? If you're a lifeguard, you practice treading water. Right? Now, everyday person, same thing. I want to learn how to tread water because I fall in a pool. Now, for her, for law enforcement, treading water, because they're running into these fights, they're going towards conflict. Treading water is staying alive in a situation like this. Being able to survive for 1 more minute can make all the difference for backup to arrive, for civilians, for people to come in and intervene and help, or for the suspect to get tired. 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes. And jiu-jitsu is all about survival. So we're very happy that she used these principles to survive.
And besides being smaller, you have to remember the additional concerns that an officer has, every officer, when they engage in a close quarters fight for their life like this. Besides avoiding the choke, getting strangled in a grapple is hard enough. Avoiding getting strangled and getting knocked out is exponentially harder. Avoiding getting strangled, avoiding getting knocked out, and avoiding having your duty weapon taken from you during the grapple. This is a crazy feat that we're expecting police officers to be able to do every time they engage with a subject who has bad intentions towards the officer. So this is, by and large, what we focus on when we teach police officers is tread water. You don't have to beat anyone up. You have to avoid getting choked, knocked out, and have your weapon taken away from you, and that takes work.
And just avoiding those 3 things for 2, 3, 4 minutes is very difficult because everybody wants to move forward and get to handcuffing the suspect. We're saying no, forget about what you want to do to the suspect and just worry about stopping whatever they have planned for you. And we don't know, like he said, there's those 3 main things: strangling and potentially like trying to crank on an arm or submit, and striking, kicking, biting, eye gouging, going for your weapons or tools, all these things to defend yourself against, you know, from happening to you.
And for an untrained officer, it might seem like, wow, that's so monumental of a feat to have to learn the skills to be able to stay safe in a violent physical encounter like that. But it's not as hard as you think, you guys. Once you break down a fight into the core positions, standing clinch, ground top position, ground bottom position. If you want to divide it even further, we talk about mount, side mount, guard, and back mount. You can really simplify where the contingencies are, the possibilities of where the fight might end up. And then from within each of those positions, officers need to know how to manage the distance for punch protection and survivability, and how to keep the suspect from accessing their duty belt. So it's one or two principles of distance management and weapon retention that are reapplied, I should say, to each of these core positions, whether they're standing against a wall, on the ground, top or bottom. They're all the same principles applied universally. So even though for an untrained officer, they might go, man, she trains BJJ, that's why she's, maybe I'll never be that good to where I could be this safe. No, you can't. You just have to understand the principles. Don't get kind of drowned in the noise of all of MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all of it. You don't need all of it. You need a distillation of the most important techniques for the most important positions to hold on and tread water until help arrives. It's not that much, but it does take you dedicating and learning. And I think a lot of police officers are hesitant. So for her to say that this is attributed to her training outside of her work, which means not the department training provided, but what was provided to her at her BJJ school, which is amazing. And what's interesting is every time we teach GST, we know we have an in and an opportunity to connect with those law enforcement officers that are, many of them, trying jiu-jitsu for the first time under our guidance for a week-long course that we do. And at that point, we always use that opportunity to say, guys, the only thing better than having completed this GST course is becoming jiu-jitsu students for life. Make it your hobby that you practice on a regular basis, wherever community you live in, wherever you are in the world. Find a school, become a dedicated practitioner, because there is no substitution for the regular close quarters combat, grapple, and comforts and discomforts that you learn and you overcome when you become a regular jiu-jitsu student and practitioner.
And there's two reasons why you want to involve yourself in jiu-jitsu, right? Number one is because, remember, your job of protecting the community and being of law enforcement and of service is a very important job, and it's very appreciated. So number one, you want to invest in that, in your job. You want to be better at your job and do it better and do it with more grace and technique, and so being a better law enforcement officer. That's number one. And then you have to think about the fact that we're asking you to do jiu-jitsu on your off time, and so is Kristen. She's asking you to do extra training. But that extra training, yes, it is for your job, but it's also for your person. It's for you because you have a family, you have loved ones, right? You want to live your life. So if you think about it being only for your work, then you might not do it. But think about it for, like she mentioned, your ability to go home after work comes from you sacrificing a little bit of your personal time. Give a little bit of time, one day a week. How ready do you want to be? The answer is as ready as possible. So will 1 hour a week of training make a huge difference?
The world.
Absolutely.
The world, because most police departments issue 4 hours a year of training, or 8 hours a year max, and that's the exception. 8 hours a year, 1 hour a week equates to 52 hours a year. And most importantly, every week, getting close to someone, grappling, connecting, learning body mechanics, where you're safe from, where you're not, submissions, control, punch protection. These elements, 52 times a year, being just dabbling. And not that you want to be a professional competitor or professional fighter. You just want the elements to do what Hito's talking about, go home at the end of the day. And that's all we want for you guys. And we know, and Kristen is now, right, putting out this message that absolutely it can make all the difference.
And in the end, then you're going to realize, you know what? Not only is this for my job and for me to get home safe to my family, but this is also for me. This is also fun, and you need to have fun.
Now, the truth is, in success long term, the police departments should be the ones providing and mandating sufficient training to where an officer who engaged in a battle for their life, like Kristen had to, feels equipped with the tools, not because they had to pursue it outside, but because they were provided it in the police department. That's the long-term victory for law enforcement and for that entire community as a whole. But that's a hopeful, that's optimistic. We don't know if that's ever going to happen, right? That's like saying for kids who get bullied, let's hope that parents start parenting their children better and kids never bully. And it's a very optimistic societal kind of outlook, but it may not happen. In the meantime, do what Kristen is doing and take it upon yourself to acquire the skills that will allow you to go home safely at the end of the day. It can make all the difference. If you're able to tread water for 1 or 2 more minutes, you guys, that could be the difference between life and death, as we saw in this situation. And it was a very unfortunate occurrence for all involved. But if this lesson reaches lots of people, lots of police officers, then at least some positive came out of this otherwise entirely negative situation. We're so glad Kristen is okay. And, all we can say is this. We want to invite Officer Richmond to the GST course. Any GST course nationwide that we're teaching, Gracie Survival Tactics for law enforcement. We would want to hear the story and the details firsthand from her so that we can learn from it and use it as a case study to help other officers better their training. We also want to invite the defensive tactics coordinator or head instructor at her department, which is a different person most likely, who could also benefit from this and taking these techniques and skills back to the department so that other officers in their department can benefit from this. So anyone who has contact with Officer Richmond or her department, please connect with us, make the connection happen, and let's get them on the mat. For the rest of you guys out there, if you're a police officer and you don't train jiu-jitsu on a regular basis in any way, shape, or form, we don't know what else to say other than it could make the difference when you need it
on
most.
the mat. That's what
Yeah, we invite you guys. Obviously, we would love to see you guys at the GST course. We have them year-round. All the information is at gracieuniversity.com/GST. And we're here for you guys. We feel it's a great privilege to be in the position of taking almost 100 years of, jiu-jitsu family history, distilling it down to the most important 23 lessons for law enforcement, and then teaching them to you guys in a very concise manner that allows you to go back and teach your colleagues. It's the best we can do to help law enforcement for the appreciation that we have for them helping us and, the incredible role you guys serve. So we appreciate it. And listen, if you're watching this video and you're not law enforcement, Kristen is a woman who was attacked by a man. When you really boil it down, she was working as law enforcement, but a woman was attacked by a man who violently attacked her, and she was able to stay safe and manage the distance and protect herself based on the training she had received. So, man or woman.
Back to the opening line, you never know when you will get into the fight for your life, of your life.
There it is, you guys. Please help us spread the word, and we'd love to see you on the mat. Thank you.